It's me, MC of Healthy by George. I come each week to talk about elements of my health and wellness journey as I discover new things that are helping me as I move forward to live a healthier life, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, well into my older years. And I hope that you're interested in the same thing so that you can be just as functional now as you will be in the future. That's the key, guys. It's about starting now to support our functioning so that we can stay as well as possible into the future. And today, I want to talk about more with regards to my mindfulness practice and how it's been really so beneficial for me during my weight loss journey in the past 2 years. So please think about subscribing. I would love to see you here each week where we can share and tell each other about the things that we're doing daily to help ourselves make the best version of who we are so that we can continue to grow older, healthy as possible. So, why is mindfulness practice so important to me? Well, it makes me think back to a problem I had in 2017. I had a hip replacement that didn't go well. I had a hip fracture. Well, it wasn't a fracture. What had happened is I had okay surgery. I was in recovery. I was having rehab. And darn it, during rehab, I broke my femur. It was pretty bad. So I went back to the doctor. He had to put me back into surgery. He had to put wires around my femur. And then I had to be sent to a rehab facility. And frankly, that was really challenging. I found myself in a rehab facility where you have very little control because now you can't even toe touch with that leg. You have to literally hop. And so I was hopping everywhere I went to do rehab, to get to the bathroom. It was not simple. And sometimes I would find myself so frustrated, so angry, so truly out of control with my emotions that I really didn't know what to do. And then I remembered a very important thing. I had gone through a really short practice of learning about a mindfulness practice. And I really was surprised. I took just a few minutes. I closed my eyes. I focused on my breath and just allowed myself to focus on the area in my body that was making me feel frustrated. And what was phenomenal is the more I showed up in my breathing and my mind in thinking about that area that was frustrating me, my recovery from this fracture, I suddenly found it just disappearing, the frustration evaporated. And all I did was find myself just being present to breathing, recognizing how grateful I felt about that issue of being able to be in a supportive place. And all of the issues about anger and frustration just, they kind of disappeared. It was very brief. And that's what I find so remarkable about using mindfulness practices. And when you look at the research, which is so phenomenal, we understand that doing mindfulness practices really embraces this neuroplasticity. It really can strengthen our ability to change our brain, which is amazing. It can help us improve our focus, our decision making. It helps with emotional regulation. It can support our memory and learning. It also really helps with our brain's alarm center, and we can become less reactive and letting ourselves kind of calm down and be thoughtful about how we're going to take a next step. So it can change our brain structure and connectivity, and it can help ourselves really not, react to life, but being intentional to how we choose to embrace our circumstances. And truthfully, as we get older, let's face it, we're going to be met with challenges that are unexpected, like hey, my hip replacement. Like last year, I had to have a hysterectomy. And, who knows what else is going to be in the future that's going to be challenging when it comes to our process of aging. we're never sure of what's going to show up tomorrow. Because that's the problem. Aging is not something that we can predict. Sometimes things happen that we just aren't prepared for. We're going to do the very best we can. And if we embrace a mindfulness practice, it really helps us calm our nervous system. I know for me, when I was doing that very conscious breathing and focusing in the area of the pain and difficulty where I was struggling with my right hip when I had my first hip replacement in 2017, it allowed me to suddenly slow down, to breathe, just be present, to feel where I was hurting in my leg. Where was it? How bad was it? Could I describe it? Could I think of a color? And really, it was so calming to just be present with it. And the more I did that, the less I became aware of how uncomfortable it was. It helped me slow my heart rate. It helped me focus on my breath. And some studies have shown that it reduces inflammation and that it can improve our immune response. So there is something about mindfulness practices that really engage in what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest process. It can help us lower our cortisol. It can help us get back to an increased sense of self awareness where we can observe how we're thinking, our emotions without judgment. That you can build this simply a wonderful process of just noticing where are you and just be present to it. And of course, when you do these mindfulness practices, and there's many types of them, your mind will wander. Suddenly you'll start thinking about, what happened yesterday that bothered you or what you've got to do in the future. Believe me, I'll set my timer for 5 minutes and God bless, I'll look down. I've done 5 minutes and already I've started to think about what I've got to get done today. That's how our brain is. And we really must work together to build that mindfulness practice so that we can help ourselves be less reactive and more intentional about what it is we want to accomplish. I was doing that today, thinking about really where do I want to see myself as we follow up this next 2 months and ending up the year of 2025. Where do we want to see ourselves in 2026? How can I start to set the dynamic up for myself so I can have a wonderful launch to my life in 2026? How are you thinking about this as we move towards the end of the year? Are you considering about how you can think about a mindfulness practice so that you can develop ways to break bad reactive patterns of behavior? I know for me, it's about stress eating, emotional eating. It's about not getting enough sleep. It's about worrying. I catch myself with negative talk, like this is something I never can stop doing, and really start to choose our behaviors each day that do reflect how we want to grow older. So, when you're thinking about mindfulness, think about how you can live your life more vibrantly with colors, sensations, and a depth of connections with your fellow friends and family. And really release those things that are tedious and really allow ourselves to find the presence of deep gratitude, joy, and connection, because this is really what's going to give us a really beautiful life. So, when you think about your life, how is it that you would like to slow down, increase your deeper awareness of how you want to modify some of the things that you choose to do? I know for me, it's going to always be about emotional eating. This is a bad habit of mine. I will stress eat. I will happy eat. I will boredom eat. Believe me, there's almost any reason I will find to have something to eat. And it's really something I'm so looking forward to letting go of in 2026, to really allow myself to let go of always thinking that if something stressful is happening or frustrating or angry or my impatience or the timing of things or whatever it is that's causing me to react, can I pause, give myself a 2 to 3 minute mindfulness break, and shift myself towards another type of habit versus my emotional eating? What are you looking forward to shifting in 2026? Let's start thinking deeply about that because truly we do have so much to be grateful for. We have so much that we can start to become a greater sense of awareness so that we can be present to the beautifulness of our life. Even when there are challenges, we can reframe them as something that's going to inform us. It's going to create a deeper curiosity about what we need to change during our day, our life, our habits, our routines. And instead of seeing things as always a downer, seeing it as something that we can be curious and learning about. And I know this sounds a little Pollyannish, and sometimes I get a little bit bleh with that too. But truthfully, I can still think back when I was laying in that rehab facility by myself with a stranger who was sharing the room, who had suffered a terrible problem that had caused them to have a lot of issues. And I really felt so grateful that I had this awareness of a mindfulness practice that I could suddenly do. It made me calm down. It made me feel a little more present to the fact that I can help myself by using this simple practice of mindfulness and being present to my body, to who I am as a human being, and being grateful. So please, my friends, think about subscribing. I would love to see you here each week. And let's continue to think about things that we would like to shift as we approach the ending of 2025 and welcoming 2026. I know for me, I'm working hard on trying to provide a course, a little short 1 day or not even a 1 day course, a little hour-long course that could possibly help you with some mindfulness practices. Let me know if something like that is you would find interesting. So again, be well, my friends. You have this one beautiful, precious life. Let's live it intentionally. Let's see you next time. And please subscribe. I would love to see you here. Bye-bye.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.